Okay, so this is video number 2, and today's conversation is about doubt and fear. And if you haven't yet watched video number 1, watch that first and take a few minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and make that list. So what I want you to do is make a list of all the times in your life where you trusted your intuition and it turned out better than you can ever imagine. And in your second list, you're going to make a list of all the times that you didn't trust your intuition and remembering how that turned out. And you heard my story about getting married when I knew I shouldn't have. It was a very costly mistake. And then the third part is to make a list of what you would have done different if you could go back in time. And instead of ignoring your gut instincts, instead of ignoring those whispers or that intuition or those goosebumps or that like gut impulse, what would you do different next time? And so I'm going to give you a little example. You heard about the example of not trusting my intuition. I want to give you a little example of trusting your intuition. And so over a decade ago, I was a brand new mom. And my husband at the time had decided to quit his 6-figure job. The plan was for me to stay at home and take care of our son for a year, and then we'd have a conversation and make the next move, take the next steps, sort of look at what we would want to do moving forward. And of course, that didn't happen. And so when my son's dad came home, we were married at the time, and he let me know that he had just quit his 6-figure job with benefits, with travel, with lots of really amazing perks, with full health insurance for all of us. I had a moment of panic, and here I was with a newborn in my arms. My mother was visiting, and it was like this just gut punch. And the first thing I wanted to do was to go into panic, to be pissed off, to go into fear, to go into worry. And I gave myself 24 hours permission to, one, be mad at him. And I said, you need to give me 24 hours to really be pissed off right now. And I gave myself 24 hours. Now, I didn't need 24 hours, but I gave myself. And I gave myself permission to experience and feel whatever was coming through me instead of shutting it down. And this is really important when it comes to your intuition, because your intuition is your barometer, right? For are you on the right path? Are you not on the right path? And so I'm going to give you an example of a moment where I trust my intuition. So luckily, I am a go-getter and I had big dreams. And when that happened, I gave myself 24 hours of permission to go into fear. And then I got curious and I was like, well, what do I want to do? What can I create? How can I contribute? What would I want my life to look like? And I had already had an idea of it, but I was nowhere near that path. I just knew that there was a calling inside of my heart to work with people all over the world, to travel, to be on stages, and to watch people transform and evolve and grow and heal from their pains and their stories and their traumas. But I had been a hairdresser, and yes, I've been a psychologist, and I've been a real estate agent, and I've been a lot of different things. And so the idea of where do I start with my giant vision of traveling around the world and healing people, it was like, I don't even know where to begin. And so what I said to the universe, I said, make it obvious and show me the way. Make it easy and show me the way. Make it fun and show me the way. And like really truly make it obvious, because I kind of at that point in my life, I felt like I needed to be hit in the head by a 2x4 in order to follow this path. And sure enough, the universe made it really obvious every step of the way. But here's where I got myself involved, is I asked a lot of questions. I made a list of what do I want my dream life to look like, to feel like. And so it was, I want to travel around the world. I want to make at least 6 figures. I want my son and my husband to be able to come with me. I want to have time freedom. I want to light people up and watch them come alive. And so fast forward to 5 months after this experience of my husband coming home and quitting his job, I was in Florida teaching, and like my dreams started to come true. But here's why I want to talk about doubt and fear. And so there's this moment, I just kept following. I asked questions and I kept following. I didn't have money. I didn't have money in my bank account. I put some things on a credit card to start to pursue this energy that I was feeling that was like so deep in my heart, I couldn't ignore it. And so I kept following those impulses. And I go to this class, and the idea was to make money at this class, to do some hands-on healing, which I had been doing for a decade. And I was really in this process of trusting myself to work on people, but I hadn't built a 6-figure business doing that. In fact, before I had started doing it, in my head, I thought that that was impossible. So I always took jobs or did things where I could potentially make 6 figures a year so that I could do my healing work on the side, because I couldn't see myself as a full-time healer. I couldn't comprehend that I could make enough money to support the lifestyle I wanted to live. And so I follow this whisper. I go to this class. And in my head, I created all these conclusions of, oh, there's going to be all these people and I'm going to make a lot of money. I paid to be at this class. And I get to the class and there's not a lot of people and no one's really signing up for my energy work except for one lady. And I connected with this lady, and having that experience, I was like, I needed to go to this class to meet her. I made the conclusion, right, that I was making this choice to go to this class to make money, to see lots of people, to work on lots of people, because I've had that experience. And so I was using a past frame of reference to determine why I should or shouldn't take this class. I go to the class, I meet the woman, and I realize after working on her, that's why I was so strongly called to this class. And so in video number 1, I talk about, ask yourself, if I make this choice, how is it going to feel in my body? How am I going to feel about making this choice? If I don't make this choice, how is it going to feel? And then you make that choice based on how's it going to feel. And so I was like, wow, it's light to go to this class. It's really expansive. It's like, yes. And so of course I assumed, because I really needed the money, it was because the money was going to show up, right? I was looking at the result of the choice instead of the energy of the choice. And after I worked on this woman, I was like, oh my God, it's the energy of this choice. And so here's where doubt and fear comes in. I'm standing in the back of the room and we're having a break, and one of the teachers comes up to me, and he was an ex-NFL football player, an amazing human being, really fascinating, still a great human being to this day. And we were having this conversation. He's like, wow, I can really tell, like, thank you for being here. Your energy has made a difference in this class. And I was like, wow, thank you. How cool. You can see that? you can tell, an ex-NFL football player. And then he said, so many in Florida next month want to come. I'd love to have you. And my whole being, that invitation matched what I had written down that I wanted as my life. I wanted to make 6 figures. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be ease. I wanted to impact lots of people. I wanted to experience different places all over the planet. And his invitation matched. And as soon as I said yes, I was like, wait. And the fear started to creep in, and the doubt started to creep in. And I was like, I don't have the money. How am I going to make this happen? What was I thinking? But I didn't want to backpedal and explain that I had no money and I couldn't really come. That wasn't in my heart's calling. My heart was begging me to say yes. And so I took a leap of faith and I said yes. And after I walked out of that classroom that day, I was like, universe, make it obvious, make it easy, make it fun, show me the money, honey, and however I need to get from Colorado to Florida in less than 30 days, make it freaking happen. And so I took this giant leap of faith, and I ended up offering my private sessions. I ended up creating a few classes. I ended up co-facilitating and co-teaching with him some stuff. And so in the process of between saying yes and getting down to Florida was a very interesting journey, because the practical side in me wanted to talk me out of going. The dreamer in me wanted to go no matter what. And because I didn't let fear stop me, so fear creeped in, doubt creeped in. It wasn't about getting rid of fear and doubt, which a lot of people think they need to get rid of fear and doubt in order to take the leap or the next steps in their life. It wasn't about getting rid of the fear and the doubt. It was about recognizing they were there because I was dreaming bigger, choosing bigger, risking more than I had ever risked before. And so when you decide to create a bigger life, choose a bigger life, choose more of whatever it is you want to have in your life, fear and doubt are going to let you know that you are choosing bigger. So fear and doubt, if we pay attention to them, they activate the 4 F's, right? And we won't say the expletive of the 4 F's, but you can just imagine. But the 4 F's are actually when our nervous system is triggered and is in a state of survival. And when we're in a state of survival, we trigger the 4 F's. And that's fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And so what happens is when you dream bigger, fear and doubt are going to come in no matter what. What can change it isn't to get rid of the fear and the doubt, isn't to spend your energy focusing on the doubt. It's to recognize they're there and go around it. And so because I spent all my energy on the dream of getting myself down to Florida, this would have been a dream come true. I was being invited to be featured, to do my energy work in the back of this room with who knows how many people were going to be there. But I got the energy of it, and it was like, that is where I want to go. That is the energy of yes in everything in my life. And every time fear and doubt crept in, like, what are you thinking? You don't have the money. You better call him and tell him you can't do it. You have a baby and a husband who doesn't have a job. You don't have money for airplane tickets. You don't have money for a hotel. You don't have money for a rental car. Like, you don't know if anyone's going to be able to, pay for your sessions. I didn't let any of that get in my way. And so when those fear moments came up and when that doubt creeped in, I, instead of focusing on those 2 things, which lowered my vibration, drained my energy, put me into the 4 Fs, fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. I went, no. And I just went back to, I'm just imagining myself in Florida working on all these magical beings and really focusing on my energy work and focusing on that trip being a success. And every time I did, it was like I got this wave of energy, this wave of exhilaration, this wave of like, yes. And I knew that I had to do whatever it took. And so I was like, universe, make it obvious, make it easy, make it fun. And so lo and behold, because I redirected my energy towards where I wanted to go, instead of directing my energy on the fear and the doubt and the roadblocks and the excuses and the reasons and justifications that I should say no, I just kept redirecting. And every redirection opened up the space for more energy of what I wanted. And so my mother called and said, I've got all these airline miles. Would you and Ray and your son like the airline miles? I'm like, yes, right? And then I got a call of like, wow, I have these, hotel points. Would you like those from somebody else? Yes. And then his family was like, oh, well, we only live 45 minutes away. We have 3 extra cars. Would you like to borrow one? Yes. And so when we conclude that we have to make the money in order for us to be able to say yes, it stops the momentum of the dream. It stops the momentum of the possibility. And so it is a misguided sort of experience when fear and doubt come up and you think you need to clear it. You think you need to take it to your therapist. You think you need to spend all of your time journaling and pondering all about how to get rid of fear and doubt. Newsflash, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and most of them have fear living in their worlds, and then they energize that fear by paying attention to it, and then they stop the momentum of their dreams, of their choices, of what makes them happy. And so you can't get rid of fear, you can only go around it, right? 8 billion people on the planet. We're far more connected than we allow ourselves to realize. And so I just kept focusing on the dream, focusing on the energy of how it felt to take a leap of faith, to really, really go for it. And so fast forward, I land in Florida. I get myself to the class. It wasn't the most smooth experience, but we made it work. And I get to the class, and this ex-NFL football player says, this woman is brilliant. You should definitely get a session with her. And lo and behold, the entire room, almost every single person in there had signed up for a private session with me. I was charging more money than I had ever charged before in my life. And every single person, in fact, it was like work to be able to fit everybody in 4 days. And then everyone showed up to my class. In fact, I think one of the classes, there was over 50 people. And I was like, wow, this is what happens when you don't let fear and doubt rule your choices, and you actually take a moment and you pay attention to energizing the dream, to energizing the feeling in your body, to sensing what it would be like. So some of you might be sensing what it would be like to go out on your own and do what you love. Some of you are sensing what it would be like to have financial freedom. Some of you are sensing what it would be like to take a risk, take a leap of faith, maybe to, maybe you've been in a toxic relationship for a long time and you've known for a long time that it's time to go, but you're scared. And that doubt and fear overwhelm you. And so then you think that you need to get rid of the doubt and fear before you make the choice. And that's the wrong impression. So doubt and fear will never create more when you energize them, when you give them attention, when you give them energy. They'll only slow you down, stop you, detour you. Sometimes it'll even make you sick if you spend too much time in fear and doubt. And so this is your invitation to maybe start to look at it differently and start to focus on what you really want and how what you really want makes you feel. And so if I rewind back to over a decade ago of being in that fear moment of my husband quitting his job and going, oh my God, what are we going to do for money? And we gotten to the point where we were almost going to lose our house. We were almost going to have to file for bankruptcy. We didn't have anywhere to go. We weren't having any income coming in. And this sort of energy inside of me knew that I had to listen to my dreams, to this vision that I had been having for years, and to the idea that I could be on stages, traveling around the world, working with bodies, working with people, working with their intuition, empowering them to trust themselves. And that vision kept energizing me. I kept focusing on it, and it kept giving me more energy, giving me more inspiration. And so for those of you that have been maybe spending a little too much time on fear, a little too much time on doubt, you're stuck. And so what I want you to do is take out a pen and paper, grab a journal, and I want you to write down your ideal life. If you could wave your magic wand, what do you want your life to look like? How much money do you want to be making? Do you want to be traveling? Where do you want to live? What do you want your family life to look like? What do you want your business, if you want a business? What do you want in your life, and how does that make you feel? And then the second piece to that, not just how does it make you feel, what's the impact it would make in the world if that's what your life looked like? Yeah. And when you take a moment to sort of expand, and we're going to talk about this in a later video, about allowing the impact to be bigger than just you. But when you focus your attention on your dream life, on your magic, wealthy, abundant, expansive, joyful, free life, right? Feeling freedom in every area, and you start to go, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Fear's gonna come in. And guess what? It's a sign that you're on the right track. It's a sign that you're dreaming bigger. It's a sign that you're taking risks. And so your nervous system, your survival instincts, your reptilian brain wants to protect you. Oh no, don't go there. But guess what? When you go there, magic happens. And so I want you to just take a moment and get that pen and paper out, get that journal out, and I want you to start dreaming about your dream life. And if it doesn't scare the crap out of you, you're not dreaming big enough. If it doesn't make your heart race, you're not dreaming big enough. If it doesn't give you a rush of energy when you think about it, you're not dreaming big enough. This is not a time to do this exercise and be practical. This is a time to be completely outrageous and really go for your asks in a really big way. So write that list, start thinking about what do you want, your ideal day to look like? Where do you want to be waking up on the planet? What does your bed feel like? You know, are you in 1,000 thread count sheets? Are you, you know, what's your view like? Like, this is my office, and you can't quite see, but there's the mountain right there. It's the mountain I ski on in the wintertime, and luckily it's spring. And so you want to start really thinking about your ideal day. Years ago, my ideal day was to live in Aspen, ski every day. I'm living that life, and now I have a new dream and a bigger dream because I got there. And so when you write it down, when you dream big enough, right? Moving to Aspen a decade ago was like, I can't do that. That's no way. And so you want to give yourself permission, dream big, go all out, write down what you want your ideal day to look like. So it's 2 different exercises: your dream life and then your ideal day. And that ideal day might be different, but get creative, dream, ponder, write it all out, right? Do you want a private chef? Do you want a butler? Do you want to be flying private? Do you just want a simple life? Do you want no stress? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It matters that it means something to you. So don't compare what, you know, what others might think of it. Just have it for you and give yourself permission to get creative and start to really listen to those internal desires. And you may notice, if you haven't done this in a while, your dreams may have shifted. Your priorities may have changed. And so listen to them and give yourself permission to pay attention. So that's all I got for you for this video. Take some time, write it out, and then come back for your next video. Can't wait to see you on the inside. You got this, and you're doing an amazing job. And just remember, fear and doubt, they're not real.